All right. Hello, Morgan.
Hello, Sarah.
Great to see you. Thanks
Great
for
to see you
joining me
too.
today.
Thank you for having me. Good to
I
be
love
here.
your colorful background that you have with that lovely pattern. Anything
Thank you.
floral,
Yeah,
always
yeah,
stands out to me.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited to chat with you today, and we're going to just get into a conversation here in a moment. But I wanted for everyone watching the replay, just want to give a little overview. This is the second interview that I've been doing on YouTube for my new series called Wellness Wednesday. And it's very exciting because I'm interviewing wellness business owners who I've met along my journey and talking to them about their wellness business and the services they provide, and also a little bit about their marketing, specifically their video marketing. So I met my guest Morgyn Danae. We met in a business coaching group, which I'm so happy to be a part of. There's just so many wonderful people in that group. And there are a lot of wellness business owners and coaches in that group. And so I wanted to invite Morgan on and talk about her work. Her bio is down below, but specifically, our conversation today is going to focus on Morgan's work with somatic recovery, dance, and creativity. So let's go ahead and get started. All right.
Awesome.
So, Morgan, I would love for you to share, just a little bit about your story. I did read your story on your website, and I would love for you to share. I know you have a long history in dance and choreography, um, but specifically, from my understanding, you are really using the medium of dance for healing and helping people like really attune to their highest self. So I would love for you to share, 1 or 2 minutes just about your journey on how you got started with your business.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for asking. This is really a calling, a calling in my soul and great pleasure. Basically just dance has always been a part of my life from a heart-based place, always danced since I was a child, but not about being a performer so much as just loving to dance. And as I was actually embarking, this was back in the late 90s. So the calling that I really got in as I was embarking on my own healing journey, and really, I mean, literally a turning point, just really needing to get serious about healing to save my own life, really. And as I was doing that spiritual healing, which also was healing my body, so it was very much somatically oriented as well, holding trauma, and um, and so I got the real strong inspiration to start teaching dance as a healing art, and this was in my 20s, and it was through I had done different things like improv, contact improv, different types of dance expression that were very healing and connecting into community. But specifically, belly dance came through as a foundational form to really be for my own expression and to be supporting others, specifically women in this case. I do other forms of dance as well, co-ed too, but that was kind of where it started. At the same time, I was also studying breathwork, guided meditation, working with the belly, healing the belly, and all the things that we hold in our bellies and our centers. And I see a little kitty. And so doing very deep spiritual healing and also being trained to work with others, supporting them. So really my calling to support others has come through my own story as well. And so it's kind of been very parallel.
Yeah, and if you're open to it, I would love to share with our audience a little bit about your story, just in terms of it sounds like you had some chronic illness, from what I understand, um,
Chronic
chronic
pain. Yeah.
pain, and how did you since you already had this, it sounds like, familiarity with dance and experience, what was that journey of overcoming chronic pain and really, integrating that medium with your own healing?
Well, I mean, there were actually several issues going on. It was chronic low back pain that I was told by professionals that I would always live with, and that was just going to be my fate. And I completely did not accept that. I was also in my 20s dealing with severe, I mean, seriously severe, like as in pretty brutal PMS and menstrual cramps, and kidney stones. Severe hemorrhoids showed up in my late teens, and also dealing with depression and anxiety coming through. These were things that were coming through. And so there were a lot of things going on. And so all of that was literally somatic, and lifestyle also was supportive of that, of foods and herbs, but there was a lot going on emotionally that needed to be released from abuse, from childhood abuse, and things that are passed on in the family as well, very much about healing our lineages. And these things can manifest in bodies, from our stories, family stories too. So basically, I just made a decision in my early mid-20s that I was going to heal. I was going to not, this was not going to be my trajectory. So basically, that was, and in that process, I was working with a healer. I was calling on other healers, spiritual healer, emotional healer, and also other alternative, all kinds of alternative modalities or natural forms of healing. So that was informing what I was doing as well. And so, really, it just really awakened me to being very sensitive to what others were dealing with as well, and wanting to bridge that and bring a different story. When we believe that we can't heal, that there's so much that we can reclaim our lives, we can reclaim our health. And to have so the embodiment of being a dancer, claiming that spirit of being a dancer, claiming what's in the heart, is very, very important to when we, whatever it is that's true for us. But in this case, knowing that I was a dancer, knowing that I was called to dance, that it was part of my medicine, part of what was going to heal me, but also part of, sharing that with others was my medicine to share. And so when we hold those things back, it can also make us sick or not help us progress in our healing. So I really embraced that. And then there were going to be many twists and turns in my journey too. But thank goodness, we give up. And so it's brought me to this place of, and in landing right in these times, have come through, because I had lived past experience of mental illness. And so, to come through all of that, to be here, no longer living with mental illness and no longer living with these health conditions, other physical health conditions, and even more and more determined to share the power of recovery, which is claiming our true selves, and we are creators, so creative energy is life force energy. The joy of expressing ourselves, when we're called in this specific case to dance in whatever way that looks, but to doing that, it's an ancient practice. I mean, dance is in our human global roots as medicine. So yeah, to put it
wonderful.
in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that it can, sometimes be hard to frame, the whole story, because it sounds like you've been on quite a journey.
Quite a journey.
And that's what I help people do in my business, is, helping them share their story. So I always like to start out my interviews with that story, because it can be just so powerful for people to hear, that, there are people out there like you that have found their way to healing. And I'm sure it wasn't an overnight process, but what are some of the things that you started to do, based on your familiarity with dance? And did you explore other types of somatic healing. How did you come to, find the solution really?
Well, and it's a continual process, of course. It's a daily practice. And there, so, it's interesting because dance and dance movement, dance expression, it was always combined with many different levels of tools. So
Mhm.
it was being conscious dance. It was, first of all, working with being connected into the heart, connecting with our hearts. We can do a lot of things. We can move, we can look beautiful, but there are people who are very damaged and damaging themselves who are doing beautiful dance. So it's really important to understand that it's about embracing the center, the truth of ourselves, to be connected to our hearts. So first of all, that was the first piece, was spiritual healing, was
Mhm.
really working with being present in my own story, present in my body, present in my heart, so that the soul can come through in that expression, right? So that
Mhm.
expression is rooted in the true, in the self, right? So we're always discovering things. And so that's a huge piece. Um, and other elements have been breath work, meditation, prayer. I mean, that's part of the spiritual healing, all of that, because breath, I always work with breath, is foundational with everything that I'm doing with the movement and the dance too, because breath is how we connect into our centers, and it's also how we're working with being very present. It helps our movement to be fluid. It's also a way that we are nourishing our bodies, and we're also clearing our energy fields. We're
Mhm.
opening up to divine guidance. We're opening up to really that healing state that comes through conscious breath, through connecting into our bodies. Grounding with the earth is always important. The
Mhm.
earth is she helps us to center ourselves. As we have our own core, she has her core. So when we connect our core and our grounding cord from our root chakra to the core of the earth, we're more centered in ourselves. So this is very important. We have our physical core for actual strength in our movement and balance and posture, but then
Mhm.
we also have our energetic, emotional, spiritual center and rootedness. And this is, of course, I'm not coming up with this for the first time. This has been a practice of Indigenous people always. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason why they've had to deal with so much oppression, because they're holding the form for us staying connected to the earth, staying connected and holding that integrity. And when we want
Mhm.
to use the earth and our bodies as just resources to be used,
Right.
then we when we're not in touch with the sacredness of the earth and of our bodies and of our beings, then we can give up our power very easily and exploit. So I'm always going to honor and recognize the Indigenous people for holding this space for all of us, to remind us to do this. So we talk about earthing now and all that, and that's beautiful, but this is not new. And there's been a big price to be paid, that for holding that form. So giving thanks for that. And
Yeah.
yeah, so all body work, and I'm also a body worker. I work with holistic fitness, and all of that is informed in the dance movement. So acupuncture, chiropractic, Chinese herbs, Western herbs,
Oh, good.
all of it has been a part of my story.
Uh-huh.
Healthy diet, regular flexibility movement, whether it's yoga or just conscious stretching, and all of that is part of the lifestyle. It's a whole lifestyle. It's a
Mhm.
whole lifestyle, and thank goodness, um, you know, we have all of these wonderful resources. So I really support people in embodying their dancer to really embody a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle,
Mhm.
of self-care. And, that supports us to be more connected to our centers. And it's a creative way of putting our life together as well,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And I love what you shared because there are so many modalities out there. And I really like to think of healing as being holistic. Um, and it's interesting, there are a lot of holistic modalities, in other words. But I think, maybe some people can find healing, just through acupuncture or just through massage.
It's
But
an individual thing. It's so
mhm,
important because the foundation is your relationship with your own body and your own life and your own expression and your own inner knowing. So that's a process to cultivate that connection and that awareness, and then
yeah,
following through so that we're not giving our power away to others. But
beautiful.
that our self-care is an empowerment process, and we are
Mhm.
picking and choosing what resonates and what doesn't resonate, and then carrying through with the work that we're called to do on ourselves.
Mhm.
And that in itself is a kind of dance. I mean, I feel like dance is everywhere in life. We can dance, literally dance through our lives, you know
That's a good
so that the
point.
way we're putting our life together, the way we're connecting into life is a beautiful dance. Um it's a navigation as well.
Absolutely. I love what you said that, just the healing journey is like a dance. So
It is.
even just being able to reframe and take it like that, take on that perspective is just so helpful. So, you're not feeling like, oh, I need to fix this now, or I need, to find the solution. It's like, okay, just that's what I found through my own dealing with chronic illness and dealing with different health issues that came up over the last several years is
Yeah.
it takes a tremendous amount of patience and experimentation, and then just really kind of seeing what works, like you said, just trying things out, and continuing to have an open mind. And I feel like that feels like a dance to me. Like
It
that's,
is.
moving through, especially moving through the medical system, or even holistic modalities, because these are so new to a lot of us. And
Yeah.
we need to keep an open mind and experiment, but
And
we
learn,
might be
keep
a little
learning.
afraid of some of them.
Well,
Yeah.
that's always an interesting perspective. Yeah, it's always an interesting kind of, to listen to people and hear where they're at and how they relate to things. And that includes mental health recovery, trauma recovery that I work with, which can include, being on medication, and also with, and the only way I ever support anybody is to say, if they're weaning off of the medication, to do it with, professional guidance, but and also to make sure that you're always substituting, before you take anything away, you're substituting with the healthy practice, alternative, whatever it is, and you're in your self-care strongly.
Yeah.
And that was a part of my story when I went through certain breakdowns with my mental health, and I went on medication to come out of crisis, and then I weaned off professionally, and healed, focused on healing my organs and my metabolism to recover from the impacts of the medication. So that is an element as well. And it's interesting because I um, you get so familiar with a certain world, always thinking and you have to keep being reminded, but when connecting with people, that not everybody's exposed to all these things, just like you're saying, because I'm just used to all the natural and alternative, and really being in a different kind of mindset than kind of the mainstream, or the different models of health that we're kind of given. So really bridging, it's really important to be able to bridge, because the most important thing is for us to feel like we have a say in our process, and that it's about us, because when it's all said and done, everybody else is going to go off do their thing. We're here with our own bodies, and so yeah, that is a creative process. And also, the thing is that, dance, like I was saying before, dance is a form of medicine when we relate to it like that, and that is its roots. So when we have it as one of our well, for me, it's a foundational tool, right? And it's one of our tools for getting in touch with ourselves, for releasing tension, for connecting into ourselves, for conjuring up that joy, that sense of joy. There's the emotional, spiritual, and mental, and then there's just the physical aspects of
Mhm.
what you know dance, how we can use it as a way to also physically heal ourselves when we really apply it in that way, you know, and run
Mhm.
it through our true selves. So it's not really about, even in performance, it's not so much about other people's approval as much as is that we're allowing ourselves to be a vessel for that creative energy, that creative expression that heals us. And then as it goes out into the world, that it can be a healing expression for those who receive it as well.
I love that. Yeah, and I actually wanted to ask you about that because I had seen on your website, just talking about this idea of dance being performance versus dance connecting with your core self.
Yeah.
So I wonder, in your dance journey, was there a person you came across, or was this something that you just found out personally that that dance really could be one of your main mediums, your go-tos for healing and connecting to your core self?
It was always that way for me. It was always just the truth for me, you know. And so it was kind of like innately born into me, a sense of that connection. And I was also blessed when I found this sense of a calling to share it, because it was sharing it not only for my personal practice, but to share it through supporting as a dance teacher, as a dance coach, instructor, and but also as a choreographer and performer. Um, so there wasn't kind of a whole different paradigm from kind of the way dance can be approached. Um, and so trying to get to answering your question. So yeah, I mean, I was blessed to have, when I needed support to believe in myself, to believe in my vision, to have a spiritual teacher that believed in me, you know, a guide that said, yeah, you can do this. Of course, you
Mhm.
know, so that was like 1997, 1998, and I'd never heard of it. I mean, but obviously I've done it in past lives, you know, this was like
Yeah.
a remembering. And there were others in the world doing this. I just didn't know. I just was following my own dots. So I haven't really, I mean, I've had some wonderful dance teachers along the way, for sure. Belly dance teachers, lovely, beautiful teachers. Um, but this was kind of born into me, this sense of the healing, you know, to share. So, and they've been a part of
Yeah.
my journey very much, and I'll always be grateful.
Yeah, and let's just touch on this idea of movement as healing. I don't really know how to phrase it, but I know that I did quite a lot of dance when I was younger, and then sort of dropped out of it. Got into lots of other interests like film and video, but then I sort of found my way back to yoga, which I think, is very similar to dance in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially, the breath work is really powerful to me. So I wonder, what you have to offer just as far as, how does movement help us with healing? I mean, is there a way to sort of describe, what that does in our body and our cells, and how it helps us connect to our mind? And I feel like
Yeah.
it definitely helps me, just get out of my conscious mind. So I know there's something really powerful there, with just movement, running. Lots of people have their own forms of movement. So yeah, just kind of opening the conversation in that direction, moving in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I can, you know, first of all, yes, it is always about a person's own, you know, the kind of lifestyle or the types of movement that are going to be right for them, suit their lifestyle, suit their personality, all of that. So, you know, there are many, many different types of movement. Of course, we know. I'll kind of focus a little more on kind of where I work with, what I work with as well. But first of all, I'm always going to say again, it's that connection into proper breathing, really reclaiming our breathing patterns. And I've got a background training and certification in corrective exercise as well, and core, working with core corrective exercise for connecting to the core of the pelvis and correcting dysfunctions in the core as well. So that's all informed. So bringing the breath, though, is super important. Instead of being in the shallow breathing, that we connect down into our belly breathing. We can fill our bellies when we inhale. We can empty our bellies and engage our cores, and that goes into the pelvic floor as well. So that's supporting your center of movement, and that is very empowering as well, because we can emotionally feel very weak when we're dealing with trauma, we're dealing with abuse, or just feeling low, that kind of thing. So to connect into the center, connect into the breath, what that's doing is also it's clearing the energy. It's supporting the vagus nerve that runs down into the belly, down the base of the neck, down the spine into the belly, and very, very important for regulating our nervous system, for regulating our moods. So that breath is detoxifying to our blood and our lymph. And we want to be building our muscles, our bone density as well, especially for women as we get older too. I mean, strength training is super important, but again, not killing your body, being connected to your body. There's a process. All of this is a process of moving into movement and exercise in a way that's supportive of the body, and where we're connected to what we feel instead of just throwing our bodies around. But it lifts it can help reduce our cortisol levels when we are not overstraining and overstressing our bodies and holding our breath. When we don't breathe properly, that can cause a lot of stress hormones. So if we do rigorous exercise, and those hormones go up, we want to make sure we're resting accordingly as needed, replenishing hydration. And there are just so many levels. We've got just feel good hormones that are going on in the body when we're exercising, whatever that is. Our brain waves are shifting into healing states. But we have to, just as you drink your water, we have to make sure two foundations that are so important are our breath and hydration, proper hydration. Of course, we want to make sure that we have proper food, and then there's also, making sure we are getting the rest and the sleep that we need and the relaxation. So the body is well rested when we're exercising. We don't want to just it's not about abusing ourselves. But, and another thing is really calling in from the inner child. That's another really important aspect of our creative expression, is the inner child. Right. And the child self, we all have all these aspects to us. The child self doesn't go away. It lives within us. So, and all of these different aspects too. And children know about free movement. They know about joyful movement. So we want to call that in, where our school systems can teach us to box in, our job systems, our, society, sitting in chairs and cars all the time. The body intrinsically and naturally knows how to open up, how to move joyfully. So we want to kind of break through those constrictions around ageism, any forms of oppression that we are carrying in our bodies, of any kind of discrimination on different levels, racial, cultural, sexism, any of these things that have caused us to contract our energy or not feel safe in our movement. Cultivating safe spaces so that we can come out in our expression, open our hearts, and reclaim that creative inner child who sees the world in such an amazing way and expresses physically that way too. Of course, with trauma and such, we do close down our breath, we do close down our body. So as adults, or supporting children as well. I work with people of all ages, but it is about cultivating that sense of safety and peace within ourselves, and then within the environment in which we are moving.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's just what we need to hear right now, because so many of us just spend so much time sitting, and you read these studies and these news articles about how unhealthy it is to just be sitting all the time. And
Well,
I'm,
and we're not in the squat position either, the natural squatting and lotus
yeah,
positions. We think our society looks down on sitting and squatting and sitting on the ground. That's naturally what we're designed for. May we
yeah.
be able to do that for our whole lives. And I teach seniors dance as well, gentle stretch and dance, and I have them up and down on the floor where they're learning to squat.
That's lovely. Yeah, we definitely need that in this day and age. Well, before we move into, we're going to go in a moment. We're going to talk about your YouTube channel, and I'm happy to offer, any tips about growing your channel or just, improving upon the branding that's there.
Great, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, definitely. So I would love, before we move into that, if you want to share anything you have coming up, any offers or programs that you want people to know about. And we do have a link to your website in the description. So everyone should check that out and check out Morgyn's YouTube channel. But yeah, feel free to share anything you have coming up, Morgyn.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sarah. So I have a one-to-one coaching program that's Reclaim Your Creative Center. And that is a lot of what I've been doing has been building locally because I moved to Southern California just before the pandemic. And I have a studio in Laguna Beach, California. So Mystic
Mm-hmm.
Studio by the Sea. So a lot of my programs have been local, and but I've been working on Zoom since 2013. So I do one-to-one coaching. I work with kind of all of these areas, and working with supporting people to bridge to their bodies, bridge to their expression, bridge to their movement. And so that is an ongoing program, and that is
Mm-hmm.
on my website. Um, and uh, I have a group coaching program that's getting ready to come. That's going to be local as well. Belly dance therapy,
Mm-hmm.
reclaiming the divine feminine core self. And so, in terms of online programs, that is kind of brewing with the studio. Again, have been building local, and but I am working on being able to do virtual offerings,
Cool.
workshops and classes. So that's coming. It's just
Yeah.
kind of the tech stuff that I've been working on, but also, of course, we have to kind of build our base as we're, relocated and such. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
also, we're doing a big conference in September 10th, the Holistic Experience Conference, and that's Orange
Yeah, I
County,
saw that.
California. Yeah, it's a huge
That
thing,
looks
and I know you're up in
amazing.
the Bay Area. Yeah, so I'm down here in South Orange County, about an hour, depending on where in LA, an hour to 2 hours south of Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
But Orange County is really coming together in a powerful way. All the holistic healers and the different modalities from different parts of the county.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, so it's the holistic experience, and that again is on September 10th at the Tustin Community Center. Beautiful place, beautiful space. We're going to have, a lot of different experiential speakers and booths and things like that. And I'm a keynote speaker, but my is a combination of experiential and performance. So I've been integrating performance into it. And my presentation is dance and performance for trauma recovery from severe
Mhm.
depression to creative expression. So I'm weaving in performances through that
Lovely.
as well.
Oh,
And
that sounds great.
yeah, and so we're going to eventually have that, videotape. That will be, there's a whole professional crew videotaping
Mhm.
everything and such. So that will be available eventually too. Um,
Mhm.
so basically, things are in terms of virtual offerings, those are coming. But belly
Mhm.
dance therapy, a group coaching program for women in South Orange County is going. I'm going to be starting that on September 17th.
Okay,
So if
wonderful.
anybody's interested in that area, they can ask, let me know if you're interested in working with me one to one. I offer a free 20-minute consultation, which can be on Zoom, FaceTime, that kind of thing, very easily done. And
Okay.
then I work with people in person at my studio virtually. And yeah, so things are brewing. There's a lot going on. I love to do conferences. I love to, work with big groups and offer workshops. I have kind of several different workshops, but they
Okay.
working with dance and healing.
Wonderful. Well, we're gonna put your website below, and anyone can sign up for your email list. And just follow Morgyn on YouTube, Instagram, etc. And then you can find out about the things that she has coming up. So now we're going to go ahead and look at Morgyn's YouTube channel. And at the moment, I can't share the screen. I apologize for that. As I mentioned at the beginning, this series is new, so I'm still getting set up with all the tech, and I am on a brand new computer here. So we aren't able to share the screen right now on StreamYard, but I do encourage everyone to just, give a glance on Morgyn's YouTube channel. And I'm looking over here on this separate monitor. And yeah, first of all, I just want to ask you, Morgyn, um, is there a specific area that you would like to focus on for this little live coaching that we're doing? Would you like to focus more on the branding, or are you more interested in getting more views and subscribers with YouTube SEO, for instance?
So what is the difference between the branding and that? And
So
you're talking about one is kind of more of cohesion in the look, and then the other is
yeah,
kind of back
yeah,
end SEO building.
that's a great question. So the branding is more about, your thumbnails and the colors that you have, your actual banner. So I'm not a branding coach, but I have learned a lot about branding, and especially, branding for YouTube. So usually I'll give recommendations on, the banner on someone's YouTube channel, the trailer that they have when people land on their YouTube profile. But then the YouTube SEO is entirely separate with, what you can do to generate more traffic onto your YouTube, onto individual videos, for instance.
Oh, I think, yeah, I mean, those both sound great. I think the SEO would be great for some feedback. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is perfect timing because I really haven't focused a lot on building my YouTube channel. It's been more a great resource for creating videos and being able to post them and such.
Okay.
But
Awesome.
I'd like to
Awesome.
do that. So, yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. YouTube SEO is definitely a topic that I am passionate about. I think it's so important, just as a sort of overview. YouTube SEO is essential for
Hmm.
having a presence and growing your presence on YouTube. Okay, so there's often a misunderstanding about growing your YouTube channel, because I do run in and talk to people often who, are really interested in putting out content, but not having an understanding of how the YouTube algorithm works, and how it can be a complete waste of time
Hmm.
to just, put out topics that you're interested in. And this
Hmm.
is very, very common. I mean, this is something that I even had to learn doing video production for a long time, but not really understanding, how important YouTube SEO is. And this is something that I even took upon myself because I work with so many clients who we would, spend months making the videos, and then we would send it to them. They'd say, yeah, I'm putting it on my YouTube channel, or, I'm putting it on my website. And then they're not getting the views that they want.
Mm-hmm.
So what's essential here is to first start off with, you can have some ideas of topics that you want to cover, but then you want to download a software. Like, there are some free plugins that you can use, like TubeBuddy or vidIQ, and I can send you links to those. And you want to start using their keyword planner. And so just looking at your website right here, Morgyn, I see, you have so many awesome topics that you're able to share with people. And I see that you've, made many videos starting actually about 6 years ago. And so first of all, when I look on your homepage, it's actually really great because I have the TubeBuddy plugin and I can see you've uploaded 28 videos. But from those 28 videos, you have 21,000 views.
I had no idea. I thought I had like 5.
Yeah, and that's what's really great once you get this TubeBuddy plugin, because it's all cumulative, from 6 years ago when you started uploading. And so some videos do take a while to get traction.
Yeah.
But I just mentioned that because you hadn't already been doing the SEO, but some of these videos are getting views. So based on that information, what I recommend is going back and looking at some of these videos. Like you did one, Thai yoga massage for women, and it has 19,000 views. And
that's where all the views are.
Yeah, that was your first video you posted 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So
a lot of views.
There's that one, and then there's hip mobility with stability ball, and that one has 400 views. But just based on how people are finding these, and I'm noticing you don't have thumbnails on these videos. So this is a good sign that these are topics that people are most likely searching for when they go on YouTube. And so somehow they're either finding it in the suggested videos and people are liking the content you have in those videos and you're holding their attention. In other words, they call it the retention.
Oh, yeah.
And so when that happens, YouTube starts to suggest it even more. It can be, someone who has a similar video, they've been suggesting it at the end of that video. And so these are all things you can find out in YouTube analytics. But essentially from here, what I would recommend is going into TubeBuddy or vidIQ, and you plug in that keyword, Thai yoga massage, and then it's going to give you like a whole list of other similar topics that you can cover. So, so you want to get really specific, in other words, with the keyword. Since you've already done Thai yoga massage for women, is there another like subtopic of Thai yoga massage that you can do, and you can build upon that traffic? Because in other words, YouTube has already established that you're an expert. You know a lot about this topic. So does that make sense?
It does. My question with that is that's not really a big part of what I'm promoting in my business. It's a complement. Okay. The body work, I've been doing body work also since the 90s, and it's beautiful and I love it and I love to receive it as well. But and that's been a part of my own journey too. But I'm not really trying to have my channel be about Thai yoga massage.
Sure.
It really just complements my one-to-one, coaching program, primarily, because that body work supports people to tremendously progress in the coaching and, with people who are taking my workshops and my classes too, just various people too. But that's my question, because it's not like a focal point of my practice.
Okay.
I mean, I love that so many people saw that. It's a good I mean, I worked hard to make it good content. So I'm glad. I'm a little surprised, but so that's my question.
Thank you for saying that. Because often we can start out with like so many different topics that we want to cover. And I think it's good, that you experimented. So,
Yeah,
you
because
got that video out there
I was
just to
doing a lot of
see,
massage then. But at that time I had my studio, I was doing a lot of body work for
Oh,
a few
okay.
years. I mean, I did the dance too and the core work, but I was doing a lot of body work, so it was good timing. It was great. But now it's just more of a compliment, you know.
Okay. So what are two topics that you consider to be your priority that you're sharing with people?
To, is the dance, dance for healing, and honestly, and I don't know, this may be a longer discussion at another time because I work with different forms. The belly dance therapy is one element, but I also work with, even dance outdoors in nature, like dance fitness kind of work,
Okay.
that is just very healing, and just information around healing, information
Yep.
around connecting, breaking through different issues. That's what I work with, is kind of in general somatic healing. So
Yeah.
we're working with that body awareness, with, breaking through body image issues, all of that kind of stuff. So that
Yeah.
healing message is there. But then there's also the movement, demonstration of movement or expression of movement.
Love it. Yeah. So I would start with those keywords: uh, dance expression, dance healing. And one really good thing you can do to start to research, who else is out there. So start to, put those keywords in to YouTube, or maybe you even already know, like when you go on YouTube, they might be suggesting you some different creators that are already making content that is similar to what you want to create.
I haven't done
And
that. Yeah, okay. I focus on other spiritual healing on YouTube. I love YouTube. Okay, good. Good to know. Yeah, I don't really focus on what other people in my genre are doing so much.
yeah, yeah, I hear you. It's definitely good, for like our personal life, just delving into other topics, but you can even go incognito. There's a button when you click on your account. you
Uh-huh.
can you can hit the incognito button and then just look at other creators and see what's out there,
Okay.
and that will be able to start generating some ideas of like, okay, here's individual topics that I can do. But of course, you want to look at creators that are like a similar, that aren't, hundreds of thousands of views. You probably want to stay at like creators that have like 1,000 or under, um, and just start to see what they're creating. That way, that just helps me like start with the brainstorming. And
Okay.
then from there, you can go into TubeBuddy or vidIQ, and you can start narrowing it down, because you might pick up some ideas, in other words, from these creators. But then when you start plugging it into the keyword planner on TubeBuddy, it's going to tell you, okay, this isn't, it's not a topic for your specific channel. So that's what I would really recommend you focus on is, just starting with those keywords. You can
Yeah.
start narrowing it down into Buddy, and be very mindful when you're looking at it. They have something called weighted. It's um, you know, the actual score, they give it a score. They say good, fair, excellent, and you want to look at the scores that are like very good to excellent for your channel, and
Okay.
make sure you're looking at what they call weighted, because there's a score that's specifically, they call it unweighted, and that just means, yeah, in general that's good, a good topic for YouTube, but you want to make sure, you're looking, okay, this is they're analyzing your, in other words, your channel and how that video would actually perform.
Okay. Interesting. Because I don't have a lot of subscribers at this point. So, because I haven't, I just haven't focused on so I'm not really trying to, I'm just trying to reach other people. I'm not trying to appeal to some kind of various.
Oh, that's a good question. So, with the score, when it's analyzing your channel and you're getting that weighted score, it's basically saying how is this video, this topic gonna perform based on how YouTube would feed out that video in the algorithm. So it's not based on how many subscribers you're looking for. Does that make sense? So it's
It's
how your
basically,
channel is going to perform with that video.
okay, just based on kind of the general climate of YouTube.
Well, yeah, the climate of YouTube combined with how YouTube is going to treat any video that you put out.
Okay. Based on
So,
my past
because
videos.
it's always going to take into consideration like how your past videos have performed and what topics you already have on your channel. There's all these different like signals that
Oh,
YouTube is
wow.
considering, in other words. So,
Do you ever, I mean, I just have one question. Do you ever recommend people start over, or there are just certain instances where you think people should start over, like
that's a
start
good question.
a new channel?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think you really should only start over if you want to go in a completely different direction. Like, I think it's okay, you have some of these topics that aren't exactly what you're honing in on now, but they're related topics. They're not
Everything works
drastically
together.
different. Yeah, because I had a wide variety of topics, just starting my channel, but I don't think it, drastically affects your future. Like YouTube isn't gonna penalize you. They take these things into consideration, like what videos you've already done. But some of the biggest ways that YouTube considers, are they going to keep when you release a new video, are they going to keep feeding it out? Like it's the actual content, it's like how long are people staying on that video? So there's a lot of different factors with YouTube SEO.
Hmm.
But definitely starting with that keyword planner is essential.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So you're going to send me, you said those links. I'll also watch this
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll actually put them in the description, but I'll email them to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go to the description too. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, I hope that helps you get started,
Yeah.
and hope it helps our audience as well. It is a long journey. That's really what I like to remind people. It's like, I just, I think it's really great that you've gotten started. You have familiarity with video. Now it's just
Hmm.
a time to really kind of hone in and focus on a strategy, because in other words, like if you kind of continued with like lots of diverse topics and so forth, it would start to get hard, to create some momentum. But right now is the time, just really focus in on SEO.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me and having this conversation. And we'll be, getting it out with the replay and, getting more people. And if anyone has questions, type them below and we'll try to come back and answer some questions. But yeah, I wish you much success with all your upcoming workshops, and I would love to be there in person. It sounds really awesome.
Excellent. Well, maybe I'll be coming to the Bay Area to do something at some point too. I certainly would love to, you know.
That would be
So
great.
yeah, we'll see. Travel is in the works. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. I appreciate your time, your expertise, and for allowing me to be here on your platform and to share my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Morgan.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Take care. Have a great
Okay.
day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.